Ian texted me,
Recording
he said
in
he
progress.
probably won't, he's
Okay.
gonna try.
I watched a couple times, I didn't see him sign on, so.
Okay.
You said the same problem, I can't sign up for some reason.
Oh, no, I've got a few people on there. Oh wait, I've got a fourth person on there. Is that you?
Not there yet, I gotta keep on, it won't, it says I need to open the Zoom workplace, and it's like, well, I've already done that.
Yeah, I've got 3 people on there.
Okay. Well, I guess you can keep trying.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'll go ahead and start, the meeting then. So it's 6, we're in the city, council chambers. Angela is gonna call roll. Go ahead.
George,
Here.
Buckles,
Present.
Flynn,
Here.
Hebert, Hodgins, Houston, McElroy.
Here.
First up, we have the public comment period. I've got a card from Joe. So, Joe, you want to go ahead and come up?
Yeah. Joe's an expert.
Yeah, he is. He should be.
Hi, Joe Neely. I also operate West Valley Transparency. I'm a resident here. I do have a question. If anyone here can tell me when will Sheridan Southside Park be reopened? Because I'm getting a lot of people messaging me. Because also our public works have been pretty busy with the road that they and the crew from another paving company fixed on North Bridge, which is fantastic. It looks good to me. A lot of people have been giving a lot of compliments on my page about how good it looks compared to what it used to, and the fact that it's painted, which is nice too. So I'm just inquiring, as well as some other people, when the Southside Park will be reopened.
I heard November 5th. That might be wrong though.
November 5th for Southside Park, Kai?
That is the current plan, yes.
That's the plan.
So that is the current.
The current date.
If everything goes.
That might change. Yeah.
There's something to change, I bet, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Alright, so next up we have discussion items. So the first one is water testing in the Yamhill River. And I know we talked about this in the last meeting or 2 meetings ago. My thought is just I'd like to kind of maybe narrow down what we would like to know, because I think it's great to know if this is in the river or not, but part of the thing is that there could be lots of stuff in the river. It's whether or not it gets to the drinking water that it can be a problem. If we just go out and test the river, that would be good to know if it's in that water. But if it's in our drinking water, then that's to me that's different. Because there can be a whole lots of stuff in the river, but we don't end up drinking it. And then also, we might want to think about when we would test it, because testing in January when there's tons of creek water is different. If we're testing drinking water, is different than testing in July when we're pulling from the river. So there's just some different couple things to think about. Jim.
I agree with what you just said. I hadn't even thought about the amount of water running, but I do think, at least me personally, I think a lot of other people really, really want to know, especially if I can try and pronounce it, pentachlorophenol and ECOID. If it's in the water, I know the state claims that, there's never been any there and we don't need to test. Wait, just because it's never been there doesn't mean it can't be there now. I find that a little suspicious. And having a suspicious nature, I would think that we should at least test. I would think though that yes, it would be god awful if we got the drinking water, but just having it there, because people do go fish, eat the fish, kids might be playing out there. I think we need to know. That's an excellent question of what you said about the amount of water coming down, because if it's really running, what are we going to catch at 0.001 per million or something like that? It's not going to really be representative of what we'd like to know. So I don't know exactly what we'd like to do about that. But I will say, despite the cost, I am totally in favor of, getting it tested, because I think not just me, but a lot of people really wanna know what's in that water. The one thing that really makes me think that is the article that started the discussion, where the fellow's out there catching crayfish, and suddenly when he gets past Stella Jones, there's no crayfish. It's like, there's something in the water. It might not be this pentachlorophenol or the BCOIT, but those are the two that are the biggest suspicion right now, and we do test now for lead, and what else? Can you tell us besides lead?
Are you asking what we currently test?
Yeah, I know lead is one, but,
So we currently abide by all the state of Oregon requirements, which are adopted from the EPA.
Mhm.
Lead is one of the things that we test for, yes.
but you don't,
Penta and DCOI are not.
yeah, I knew that those two weren't. Is there, can you, off the top of your head, I
The city
realize-
has tested for them, of course, in 2023 after the spill. We had the results of that testing and we did get hits on it. And we tested until we didn't get hits anymore. And then the frequency slowed down. Once the state and EPA were satisfied, that's when we stopped testing.
What are some of the other OHA like guidelines that we look for besides lead?
It's
the copper and
Copper's and everything,
I-
yeah.
I think
Arsenic, yeah,
Yeah.
VCOs, VCOIs, it's quite a list.
And then, mercury as well, since we got that TDML thing going on, is that
Mercury's
mercury?
not what we test for now.
all right, Peter,
Not a question for Kai, so you had one.
you have a question for
Well,
Kyle?
when you said you're testing, are you testing the river or the drinking water?
We test both.
Oh, you're testing
Solar
both,
sanitary.
okay.
They're different tests, but we do test both.
Yeah, they have a whole testing setup of water. That's good to know it's the river though too, because there can be lots of stuff that can be in the river.
Potentially.
You potentially, yeah.
The geographical location of Sheridan is pretty good. I mean, if you look at Wilson or Portland,
Well, yeah.
there's a lot more agriculture, a lot more industry above you. There's not much here above us.
Well, somebody might decide to throw their trash in the river if they wanted to.
But your comment about the flow was a great one. So we normally draft off the river in the summertime. There's no rain in the summertime. They're not having overflows in the summertime. So we don't overlap that much
Okay.
as far as when they're vulnerable and when we're pulling, we'll be vulnerable to a spill.
Would you, I'm just wondering if we were gonna test the river just to see if these chemicals are showing up in the river water, if it would be better to, test when the river's lower. I mean, I would assume since there's less, it's less diluted, because the river's not as high.
Yeah, so we did ask for some direction from the lab, and unfortunately, they weren't unable to provide us with that. But we do have a counterpart at OSU that we could talk to about that, and that's someone that the city has sent a letter to, for a grant to do a study on this river for those chemicals. So, but that will be a couple of years down the road, but they are going to look at wildlife, Jim, and that's when you mentioned the crayfish. That reminded me of that. We gave them that sort of January this year.
Okay.
But yeah, we could reach out to OSU. We're going to reach out to EPA, I think his name, I can't remember his name. DEQ, there's someone at DEQ we're gonna talk to help us with the testing frequency here and analyzing those. So we're really interested in talking to him again, so depending on what council wants us to do. But we'll be ready for that.
Pardon me, Kai, did you say that this study is underway now on the Yamhill River?
No, the application for the grant.
Oh, I got
is
it.
underway now. Yeah, but they did warn me that it would be several years before they would be able to do that testing. There's little known about one of those chemicals in particular, DCOI, I think it was. Even OSU didn't have a lot of firsthand knowledge on it.
Yeah, I know, I think Stella themselves have to send their testing, I think, to Idaho or something to get, the results of the test, but, so I think in here it said that there's a company in, is it Salem?
That's who's handling the chain of custody for us.
Oh, okay,
That's not who's doing the testing.
okay. When I first read that, I was like, oh, well, Stella could just send it to Salem and then get tested, but gotcha,
Probably
okay,
send it to the same lab.
okay,
Right.
okay. Okay, Peter, go ahead.
I covered most of my concerns, it seems, but, yeah, I was gonna mention sort of nailing the timing of these tests to make sure we're not sort of wasting our money. I was also gonna suggest Seems like the river's the main concern, cause yeah, not much of the river water makes it in until summertime, so maybe we set a little bit of the cover test aside to test the drinking water in the summer. And then maybe 1 or 2 of these for the river before then. I guess I would suggest, outside of any advice that you might have, just doing a couple tests, see if we get a hit and then pay for more, unless that's not a recommendation that you normally get, right?
It is, we have some good baseline testing from the testing in 23. So we'll be able to compare the testing whenever council chooses to those tests, and that'll tell us a lot. We'll probably follow something similar, but if we don't get a better protocol, we'll probably follow the one that the EPA and DEQ approved in 23.
And I'm kinda interested to know if Penta is gonna show up, cause when me and Preston went over there, they said that they're no longer doing like a storm discharge, they're handling it some sort of evaporation setup, so they shouldn't have to dump Penta anymore, but it'd be nice to know if it's somehow still lingering there or something, but that would, so I think testing for both isn't a bad idea, and if we test for Penta and nothing shows up, then maybe they are evaporating it now. Denny, go ahead.
I thought they were using Penta.
Yeah, so the groundwater though that they're treating on behalf of the EPA is
Okay.
Penta though.
Okay.
So that's the part, so.
Yeah.
They are still, but when we and Preston went there, they said that that groundwater, they're now doing some sort of evaporation thing, so they don't have to dump that into the river anymore.
That's wonderful.
And they told me there is a slight chance there is some residues in their lines or some equipment or whatever, so they can't say there's absolutely zero, but they're not, dumping that treated groundwater anymore. All right, Liz, go ahead.
Don't they have to doesn't Stella Jones have to test periodically? Can't they share those tests with us and then, so we don't have to spend a lot of money on it?
They test their treatment, so like they've got like a tank. I'm not exactly sure how it works or what exactly they test, but I just know actually no, that's not true. I know they test what's going out.
So on their grounds,
Yeah.
okay, not necessarily in the river.
Mm-hmm. But part of the problem and kind of what showed up in that article is that they test and it goes out and then they get the results 3 weeks later. So that's kind of doesn't do very much good because it's already been dumped, so. Yeah.
If I may.
Oh.
So they're testing what they're discharging after it's been through their treatment facility. The concern that you have from 2023 did not go through the treatment facility.
Yeah, that was an overflow.
Good.
I think the main thing people want is peace of mind, so even if this Stella is testing, I don't think people would really put much stock in that, right, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't even think that their testing is poor, it's just that people want to see us do the testing instead.
I understand.
So perhaps what you're considering is a series of tests like this one scenario that's laid out for you in the staff report that takes into account the months where they could have an overflow. And then the 3 months, say July, August, September of next summer when we do draw from the river. Even though it's a lot of water, but we're drawing from the river at that time, so maybe you're looking at both, a 3-month scenario this winter, then 3 next summer.
That makes sense.
I'd like to, after you contacted OSU and get the information from them, reevaluate at that point, see what they think, because we're sitting here thinking, well, that sounds good. How do we know? Hopefully, these people that do this all the time would know, so.
So you wanna wait for their recommendation?
That would be my opinion, is that, yeah, as soon as we get a recommendation for them, possibly as soon as next regular meeting or the next work session after that, find out what they have to say.
Yeah, you can OSU or DEQ, whoever, or both.
Yeah, or both. Anytime we get more information, that's a good thing.
Okay.
Did you say for the next work session, is that what we said?
whenever we get information from OSU or the DEQ, then we can have make a more informed decision based on the information we have.
Yeah, next regular meeting might be packed, we'll see what we hear.
I might just let you know.
Okay. Yeah, cause it doesn't sound like anybody's against testing the river water, I think it's just wanna make sure that it's a good schedule.
Yeah,
Right.
the right time.
Okay.
Where most of the impacts, the drinking water.
Yeah, okay, so next, is the, prohibition on using forever chemicals. Page 3. Liz, do you wanna go ahead?
I need clarification on forever chemicals, what does that mean?
Well, that's what, probably what you want it to mean. We all have an idea of what it is.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Sound of commerce.
There could be several train cars full right now.
Noise pollution.
Preston, you haven't been to many meetings where we get interrupted by the train, but it
Well, I
happens
think
all the time.
I think it's great. So, one of the alternatives I mentioned here, if you wanna get into the detail of it, tell us what it is you want. Otherwise, I think by your definition of just forever chemicals, that's enough for staff and I to look for alternatives.
I like that this isn't like an ordinance or anything yet, I like that it's a general directive. I think, this is one of the few cases where making it vague is actually kinda nice, as you guys can, or, Public Works can kinda check out alternatives, see what they think, see if anything works, and then they can get back to us with what they've decided to use. And I'm pretty sure that will meet the intention of what the concern was in the first place, so I like how this is set up.
I can do this, really, I can. I think one thing that we all would like to know, especially the way you brought it up last time, is carcinogen or known carcinogenic chemicals. We'd like to know that those are definitely, whether they're forever or not, I don't care. They might go away in 2 weeks, but I don't want to spray it on my front yard.
Wow.
So I think carcinogen or known carcinogens or suspected carcinogens would be one of the things we want to definitely identify as what we're looking to not use. My wife has found a chemical that does not bother humans or pets. It's called spruce. You buy it by the gallon and it's expensive, but it kills weeds and it does not affect people or pets. I mean, that's just a
What was
suggestion.
that called, Jim?
Spruce.
Oh, like the tree?
Yeah. And I'm not saying that's what we should use, but that is at least an alternative, although as she mentioned, it is crazy because, again, hopefully you get a little better deal if you buy a large amount.
Good.
Yeah, I suppose if there's a particular authority or list we wanna go by, it'd be nice. Cause I know there's a lot of differing opinions on what's a potential carcinogen or not. So, you know, optionally, it would be nice to see.
I have all my notes in there, and then that would be-
I think glyphosate's the big one.
Yeah, that was the
Yeah.
one I was concerned about,
That's obvious.
but, well,
Good.
sorry. This is a question for you, Kai. Didn't you guys switch to Cornerstone because you found that it would be less, it didn't have as much how do you say, glyphosate in it?
Glyphosate.
And isn't that why you Public Works switched to Cornerstone, using Cornerstone to spray the weeds?
That's correct.
And it has 40% of what's the bad one, I've forgotten the name of it, the really bad.
Roundup.
Roundup, thank you. So, was there any other alternatives when you looked into it?
We also explored a weed burner and then a mixture of vinegar, salt, and something else.
Dawn soap, I use that, it doesn't work.
Actually, about that, my wife says it does work, but you gotta put it out on a really, really
Hot
hot day.
day.
Which of course is labor intensive and tough on people putting it out.
One thing about somebody working in their yard is you're dealing with 5,000 square feet.
Sure.
You deal with about 60 acres.
Yeah, yeah. So, then there weren't any other alternatives to Cornerstone that you saw when you were looking into that?
At that time, that is as far as we went.
Okay.
That was without council or city manager direction. That was just us trying to explore what other options we had.
So Kai, how long do you have to watch that? Usually there's a time frame when you use that Cornerstone stuff, even Roundup really, I mean, you shouldn't have, you know, animals out for, sometimes it's 24 hours, sometimes it's a week, I don't know. Is there a time frame when it's safe to, like if you were gonna put it in your backyard and you had animals back there, you'd like maybe not wanna put them in your backyard for, I don't know, a couple, 2 or 3 days, maybe a week, I don't know. I don't know what the time frame is, but do you kinda know what that is? Cause it's not like it lasts forever. I was under the impression there's a time frame that does its job. Kinda like castor on, you know, it's ignited by water, but then once it's in there, it's gone, so, you know, there's nothing to worry about, but is there a time frame on that Cornerstone?
I think it was 8 hours when I looked it up.
So at the most, you could say you're gonna spray this the week of, I just got a notice that says during the week of this to that, you know, there's gonna be something going on. So people would at least know, hey, if you're gonna go walk your dog, just make sure that this week is when we're spraying all these, whatever their concern is.
That is a possibility, yes.
And it would still be able to hopefully comply with everybody, but you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be a ring around the rosy type of a deal. I look it up, but, I mean, at least they could know when not to spray. I mean, when not to take their animals on a little, I'm thinking of right by my office. I got that little green way, I spray it myself, but you know, my dog, when she goes down there, we just head straight out and there you go. And I know she's not gonna, after a couple of days, it's not gonna hurt anything. Everything's already absorbed, but I haven't read the instructions to that particular chemical for a while.
That's definitely a possibility.
Based on what you're using, you could, post that the park's shut down
Like
for
we're
that
right
day
now.
for 4 hours, 6 hours, whatever it is, 1 day every 2 weeks.
Yeah, like just like this.
Yeah, that's schedules I'm familiar with.
So have you worked in other cities that have kind of had a schedule like that or done notices? Okay.
And it's different for every park, you know, but people that visit the parks, you know, they see the notice, so they get used to the pattern.
Sounds reasonable.
Another little side note for people is maybe they could have a little sign that says this park is sprayed periodically and will be shut down during those times for, I don't know, infrequency amount, whether it's hours, a day.
Something like that could be posted.
So kind of like even a warning to them.
Right.
Okay.
The recommendation is that we direct staff to see with a resolution for an upcoming agenda. You can come up with some sort of resolution to, we can beat up and look at, I think that'd be good.
I don't think there's anything else we can, you know, do this time besides
Oh, yeah.
that, so. Okay.
That sounds good.
Look into the cost of spruce.
Okay, so we can move on then.
Yeah,
Funding priorities.
Oh, gosh.
If everybody's already ranked them, I think in the past, sometimes when we've ranked things, Yvonne or Gwen or somebody has collected our rankings. And we kind of, you know, look at things that way. I don't know if we should try that so we don't have to, you know.
You're talking about the crazy League of Oregon City ranking.
Yeah. I did have a question, I guess, though, before we do that. So Preston, on the studies for the feasibility study for Stony Mountain, in order for Stony Mountain to be like operational and we start using that, does that study need to be completed, or do we have an idea of how to, you know, operate it without this study.
Well, we have the master plan, our water master plan, but it doesn't talk about, it doesn't have like an operator's manual, you know, for Stony Mountain. So this helps us, this type of a study would help us plan for what operations are needed, or if this turning that resource into a year-round drinking water supply, you know, how feasible is that? So this would drive a lot of the future concerns, operations, capacity, all of that. It really would start, all your investments would start from what this study tells you.
I was just, in the same vein as the downtown development standards, are you referring to things like FEMA and that sort of thing? Those are the kinds of things you're looking at?
No, that's colors, textures, signage, pedestrian amenities, awnings, windows, all of those curb appeal things, plus maintenance. You gotta maintain your building. But those are, the standards are an essential to attract investment. And maybe not, maybe we don't have to convince the people that have always been here that wanna open up a business here. But, out of area investors need to know what they're buying into. So if you got a plan, it could be an urban renewal plan, it could be your downtown standards, you got an overlay along Bridge and Main of if somebody goes to improve that building, the facade, what's it gonna look like? This is a favorite project of our planning commissioner, Ppolasek. It only took me about 2 minutes to talk to her. She knows how important this is for many other things. I'd say it's more important than an urban renewal feasibility study. The last time I did it was only like 25 grand, so.
Come up a little bit.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And our transportation system plan, you're aware we were able to get a grant of about $250,000 to finish that plan. We talk a lot about zoning downtown, standards, the way to function with a highway running through it. Things like an urban renewal, downtown development standards, as well as like a vertical development housing zone. These are all things that'll be mentioned in the TSP. We don't need to wait for the TSP. Not on this. I say, if there's people out there that want to fund this, let's do that right away. Jump on it.
So if we kind of think of the best way to do these rankings, I mean, if everybody wrote down their rankings on this piece of paper, I guess we could put our name on the top and.
And then, yeah,
Is
if you
that-
turn them in, then we can get them,
Alright,
tallied and.
And if we wanna tally them now, we could move on to number 3 and come back to number 2.
Sure, yeah, we got 2 of us here, so one of us can tally and the other.
Okay, yeah,
I have a question before you.
okay, yeah, one second, go ahead.
We talking to Tyler?
You just let me know.
Peter's has his hand up first.
Oh.
Okay, I was gonna let her go. But I was gonna ask if studies and infrastructure are ranked independently or together.
They're just independent. It gets a feel for the council, what you think is most important. Try not to think just in terms of dollar amounts.
Sure.
You know, yeah.
Hard not to do.
I know, it's, you're like, oh, 45,000, that sounds good.
Okay, Lucy, go ahead.
So the restrooms for the Yam Hill River, that's the one behind the, pavilion, correct?
Yeah, that would be with the Morgan Street parking lot, kind of the phase 2.
And for that to get done, that opens the door to other things that Sheridan can do, because they have to have that part constructed. I think it's for that riverfront part. Have to get reacquainted with the riverfront requirements, you know, for taking boats or launchable watercraft in and out of the river. in order for it to be on the main venue. With tourism, they need the parking lot, they need the restrooms. You have to have those facilities in place, or that part of the puzzle is not gonna be able to be completed. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that, because it's an important piece, and I'm putting our community first, because they're waiting, they're getting their water rates raised, their sewer rates raised. I wanna see them get something that they can take their family to, for those people who can't drive, are short on a budget if things are coming down to it. I want them to have a nice place to go to on a summer day when they can't leave town like everybody else could possibly do. But that piece, if it's not there, that piece will not be completed in that overall project but they're so close together, you wonder if it's the same thing. They're two separate things, but they feed right off of each other.
You mean the river projects where people are, for the launches? All
Like
along
the
Yamhill?
parking lot over
Yeah.
there.
The parking lot behind the pavilion.
Okay, so and that's not part of the ARPA monies? Or
I don't believe so.
parking lot's not, or the bathroom's not? Or both?
Well, I was wondering, it's got the bathrooms on there, so that's why I was wondering why.
Well, I don't know if the bathrooms were identified
Okay.
initially,
I thought they were.
but
I thought they were.
from day one, that's where they need to go.
Mhm.
We talked about it, internally as, moving forward with the parking lot and the restrooms. And Lucy is talking about getting on the map for facilities that the state puts together for tourism, for recreation, and they're gonna note where those access points are and where the restroom and parking facilities are. So we'll be on the map for those facilities that utilize the Yamhill River.
That's a 10-year plan.
Denny, go ahead.
So when this all started, the parks, state parks department said money was not an issue. It was permitting is the problem. And the permitting will take longer than they have access to money, or at that time they did. So, I'm just scrambling to find out where we're gonna get this money.
Well, this is a chance to dream a little bit. Cause these lists are what we're gonna try to solicit funding for. And we don't know what is gonna grab certain agencies, or what's the emphasis for, funding projects this year in different categories. But when they talk about, water facilities, and permitting takes a long time to access the water with like docks or watercraft launching and these kind of things, viewing, gates, access. These restrooms don't require any of that. This is just a regular building permit, plumbing that's gonna go right off of, Morgan Street. You turn in the parking lot, restrooms will be closer to the river there on that side of the parking. That would be the plan. So, I've had, restrooms funded before through Parks and Rec. And we'll see if they like this idea.
Go ahead.
So I believe, my recollection is right, restrooms were part of the requirement of the parks to do this work.
Oh.
And so that's why I thought maybe they would be helpful with getting money for the restrooms. Cause that's part of the boat launch and river trail are restrooms.
Well, I'll need to find out. That'll be important. Yes.
Jumping ahead a little bit, I thought we were still on the studies and ranking those.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think we were just gonna rank all of them since we were gonna turn this in.
Well, this is, I've got mine attached and written all over. If we're
okay.
gonna jump to infrastructure, I would just like to say something that, we've discussed before now. A long while back, working with, Civil West, they came up with a plan to, do all the wonderful things for Sheridan Road. We even got a picture of it out in the lobby, what it's supposed to look like someday. That was a $17.9 million project when they got it done. That's not including linking up the homes to things like, electricity cable, things like that. But each of these things in the infrastructure, area, the, sewer line main replacement, yeah, all this stuff requires tearing up Sheridan Road. So these aren't really three things, in my opinion. They're one thing. They're just one thing, and they're $5.3 million because we gotta tear up the road. How many times are we gonna tear up the road and repave it? We discussed that when we were talking about Sheridan Road, and that's why we're stuck, because it's such a huge price tag, and all of these have a huge price tag, as you can imagine, and there are more things that these don't do that still need to be addressed.
I think, yes, you are right about all that. I think the idea was to ask, to show, okay, these are the projects, they are related. But if they, fund one, then they fund one, and that's one aspect we don't have to find money for, If they fund two of them, then we only have to find, money for the third one or something like that, you know what I mean? I think listing, but if you're saying it would make more sense just to rank them together as
Well,
one item.
That's how I looked at this, is just, they're one choice. If we're gonna do one, all of them should be done, because otherwise we're tearing up the road 2-3 times. The cost on that is crazy. Tear up the road, lay a line, pave it over, we got more money, whoop, take the road. It's not like we can lift it up and stuff in.
Well, and I don't think the city would do that, because that would cost more, I think, to do it that way. But I think, once it's tore up, if we we're given funding for the sewer line, then okay, that's where that funding came from. But they might not want to fund all three. I guess it would be the reason to break them up. They might only want to do water and sewer. Maybe they don't care about storm, I don't know, but I guess that would be one reason to break them up like that.
Well, I do recognize they're all different projects, that's easy, but they all affect the same street and the same pavement. I'm not saying they shouldn't be done. I wish we had the money to just, bam, do all of it and finish up Sheridan Road like we started. But this is only, like I said, $5.35 million, and the project that Civil West came up with was $17 million. Well, there's still $12 million more worth of spending that is to come. So how do we, decide to do? Maybe Lucy has a good idea.
Well, I remember those conversations also, Jim, and
Your
about,
microphone, Lucy?
Thanks, Jim.
a couple 2 or 3 administrations ago, I had a fella come in from ODOT on Sheridan Road, and I had him come back. I talked to him again on the telephone somewhere after the first one, because it got X-nayed. And then I talked to him again, and then it seems, to the best of my knowledge, that I specifically asked if ODOT would be responsible for the repairs of Sheridan Road, if we could fall into this category. I might remember a little bit about it. I'm not saying he does, I'm just the conversation. Because what I'm trying to say is nothing ever happened again. And I got a hold of a third party, which would be his wife, asked if he was still working for ODOT. I did try to get a hold of him, but I couldn't, so I could give some information to this, and even maybe this time. And I think he did come into the city council and talk to us once before, a few years ago, and come back and re-verify that information so we can have a better informed decision on what we could get possibly ODOT to do. If we tweaked it just a little bit to fit the requirements, then ODOT would fit under that, then that would be called a collector street, which is what it was formerly in its past history, and maybe that could help save us some money. So that's what I've been kind of working on the side. And then I'm gonna throw this out there because we're gonna make a little ratings on the list thing. I did talk to the person I gave you the flyer on about the plug-in chargers.
Yeah.
And I wrote really great notes down there, sitting right over there in my office, because I forgot them as I was going out the door. So those chargers would be a great investment. There is an opening for grants starting November 6th, and they will pay up to $8,000 or 80% for a number 2 charger. A number 1 chargers for your house, and number 2 chargers for commercial use. and they will pay up to $8,000 per unit or 80%. But that includes certified electricians who have been educated in the field of this specific type of a charger. He said that when they did one, the last time they had a grant open, within 30 minutes, they had already reserved $1.7 million out of the 3. And I talked to him tonight on the telephone, and he said that if we wanted to, because I think this is really important, because he did say you didn't even have to pay for them, but if you just put in your request and you help the city fill out the request, and it's really organized, so now it's just all over. And it's a turnkey operation when they get done doing it. The city doesn't have to do anything. Then I'm thinking in the back of my conservative little mind, well, do we have any certified electricians in the public works department? I don't even know if we do, because those questions need to be answered. You know, there's some things we could do, there's some things we probably could do, but they partner with you. They have done them. He said, speaking of the map, that's where it came up again, they do put those charging stations on a tourism map also. And they have them in McMinnville, of course. And the next one they have is Otis, but the Tribes has a charging unit, but theirs is always not failing, but the Tribes did not use the same contractors that these guys use. So they're just doing a different system out there at the Tribes, which means it's probably not getting repaired in a timely process. But he said you can also dial those in to, if they were in the parking lot across the street, you could leave them free for people to use.
I'm having a hard time.
Well, I was just wondering on this plan where that would fit, because if we're gonna do funds, it'd be nice, like if it was, would you include that into the downtown development, or would you?
The chargers?
Well, because if it's a downtown process, well, I was gonna leave it for mayor and council concerns, but if we're gonna vote on this tonight, but again, we're not gonna really put it in writing tonight, it's just a dream kind of a phase. Is that what we're doing here?
Well, I think for the charging stations, like City Hall, we've got a charging station. We put a Morgan Street parking lot together. We could have a charging station in that parking lot.
That's
So
what I'm talking
designed
about.
accordingly, but Lucy's saying there could be grant opportunities.
I'm sorry, I
to
should
get
have put
those
that with
funded.
that would have been with the restroom ones, I guess, wouldn't it?
Well, the restrooms are something that we're gonna ask the state to fund.
Mm-hmm.
And there could be a lot of grant opportunities for various things, even charging stations. That's not what this list is really for.
Okay,
I'll
wait till later.
Yeah, this list is to I guess, know, whenever the opportunities come up to pursue grants, but to go before the regional solutions team, which is an opportunity to talk about various studies and infrastructure projects that the state might fund. Out of sequence, out of the normal traditional grant processes. These are the one time for critical needs in your community. I don't think the charging stations quite fall into that. But the intention is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is to design that parking lot and have restrooms and charging stations.
The other part of what Lucy was talking about is having Sheridan Road being a collector street. I don't know if that's something you can find out. I don't know who all has, looked into. I wasn't on council when this person from ODOT gave a presentation, so I don't know too much, but if that's something that can be done, I don't know how far anyone's been able to go to figure out what we need to do to get it classified as a collector street, and if we do, if ODOT will take it over. I'd like to know that, but I don't.
Well, and
never
right
heard
now it's
anything.
not identified as such on our TSB. With the new TSB, it will be.
So we can identify on our TSB
Yes.
that it's a collector street,
Correct.
and then
Or arterial, a higher order,
Okay.
yes.
and that would be something that needs to be done in order for ODOT to take it over?
Not necessarily,
Okay.
no, and I don't think they're gonna take over anything. But they
That's
might
my
wanna
feeling.
fund something, but they're not gonna wanna take over anything.
Yeah,
In fact, they'll be asking us to take over things if they fund something. No, they might wanna fund it, but, I can't go before, like a regional solutions team or one stop and ask to fund street projects that aren't even identified in our TSP. That's another reason why Sheridan Street's broken down in the various components. Cause these are in our master plan.
but the road isn't.
The street improvements are not.
Gotcha.
And when I budget to replace water or sewer, whatever, I budget to repair the road. That's not a separate project, that's part of replacing that, understructure. So what's not here, like Jim was talking about, is the sidewalks, the undergrounding of utilities, all those kind of things. And, you know, and I'll probably be back at some point with the council to say, okay, now we have to be a little more practical about Sheridan Road. And trim it down to bare bones to get it funded. You know, we maybe shouldn't be asking to have our utilities underground when people are going without food stamps or something in our community. Being more practical, we pare that down to a project and maybe get it on our TSB, yeah, it could be funded as a big thing. But we might get something funded in the meantime, before, you know, the ultimate. We don't have to wait for our TSB to move forward with these things.
Good, Jim.
I have a comment and then just a question. As far as in the downtown development standards, area for studies, are you familiar with the Wayfarer project with the signs they have in Willamina that are point to where everything goes?
Yeah.
Well, they had one lined up for Sheridan, we just never quite got that far. So I think that would be something that could be included as part of the development standards, because they are very attractive and they do point out what people wanna know, and it's, the project's already ginned up, we just kinda got stuck in the middle because we didn't like a tractor in the middle of the Sheridan symbol. We all decided we kinda wanted a bridge, and then it just went away, I don't know what happened to
I
it.
think that was the Ford Foundation project.
Whatever it was, we had it going,
Funds
and
ran out.
obviously,
Yeah, they ran out of
Willamina
funds.
jumped right on it and has that nice display all around town. I think that would fit well into this downtown development standard, that's my comment, what you do with that, you got me, but the question I have is down under infrastructure, this, pedestrian bridge on East Creek.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's
I'm lost, I don't know where the East Creek is, I don't know where the pedestrian bridge would go, I'm lost on that.
Well,
Kyle will tell you here, basically our Stony Mountain main line.
That's exactly what it is.
It's what?
It's the Stony Mountain main line. It's a transmission line that comes from Stony Mountain to Reservoir number 1. And that has been on the public works list for longer than I've heard of the city. Of infrastructure that needs to be upgraded.
Okay, so we would be upgrading the structure for the main line, but then while we're at it, let pedestrians walk across that area as well, I'm still confused, I'm sorry.
Right, so there's our main line is suspended to this pedestrian bridge, which we're looking to replace.
Okay, so there is a bridge there, it just needs to be fixed so that it holds the,
Right.
main line in place rather than
Right.
somebody's walking across, water all over the place, bridge broken, that kind of thing.
I think it needs to be replaced just because it's an old bridge, but it just happens to also hold our main water line.
Very
Right,
cool.
so
Which
this is
we don't want
just
to collapse.
replacing the bridge, and we're using the bridge that we had created for Southside Park, in a similar span, and also, that's where we came up with $150,000. We're not replacing the water line, we're just replacing the bridge, we're attaching our water line to it.
So since the water line's not being replaced, since we have the bridge, is most of that cost just transporting it over there and getting it installed?
Installed, but it's gotta be fabricated,
Oh,
so the bridge has to be fabricated.
okay, I thought we had so it would be a similar bridge That is on, okay,
Similar,
gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha, right, okay,
I thought it was the same thing.
okay, this is good.
One suggestion that came up when we were talking about the bridge for Southside Park was to use an old railway, trestle
Car.
type thing.
Oh,
Remember, we were talking about that? The guy from Newport suggested that some cities will get those old railroad trestle. That might be something to consider too.
It's my understanding that's exactly what it is.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Good idea, Liz.
I had a premonition.
okay, so, any other questions, otherwise we can give these the, okay, go
Is
ahead.
that loop thing on Sheridan Road gonna affect any of these values on the infrastructure?
That loop is, I believe Tyler said, that loop is dependent on, completion of the subdivision. It's like, where part of that loop needs to go is where there's new construction, and so those people building those houses is,
Will connect.
yeah. So that shouldn't affect anything else on here.
Okay.
That loop is being done.
I thought that was maybe an improvement to be subtracted off if the developer himself was like, does he just have to bring it out to Sheridan Road?
I think, yeah, and then, so the new Sheridan Road water line would just connect to whatever has been already looped. So even if Sheridan Road's water line never was improved, it would still be connected with the water loop. But it'll get upgraded. We just need to find the money. So yeah, if there's other questions, we can just have you go on, yeah. Then while Yvonne and Angela are figuring out what we've decided, we can talk about number 3.
Under which category?
Oh, sorry, I meant number 3 on the
agenda.
agenda. I meant number 3 on the agenda.
Yeah, the space needs analysis.
Yeah, Lucy, go ahead and finish, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys doing it
finish
already?
right.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, so, Preston, do you wanna talk about the space needs?
Sure. Are you ready for that? Okay.
Or we could, if Lucy's on, I mean,
Oh, let me just guess here, I'm just gonna start with that one. Okay, there you go.
So the
Yvonne,
last,
Yvonne, we got one more.
the last subject, Your Honor, that's, it's taking off from where the city was headed about a year ago. My predecessor was looking at engaging FFA, this firm, of which Ian Galbraith's a partner there, to look at in-depth space analysis for City Hall and Public Works. And so I think I probably recommended using Ian because he works a lot in this area of the county and did the fire station for Lafayette. Police station for MAC, the public services building there, community services building in MAC. Just a great guy. I probably recommend him to everybody in the region. So we're not really concerned about City Hall at all. I mean, I'm not in my mind. We got plenty of room to grow. Maybe things will change in the future, but right now, we do have needs for public works. In our budget, you noticed in our water and the sewer, both we're putting funds aside for a new public works center or building. So I thought, let's focus on that. Let's follow up with Ian Galbraith here, the architect, and say, let's fund an internal study to just look at the space needs for public works. And that will then determine the next steps. We can share that with council, we come back and say, here's the structure we're looking at. Now we need to find a good site, you know, a 2+ acre site with maneuvering and fleet and everything, and where do we go for that? But it all starts from your space needs. I think you've been involved in some of these discussions about that. It's a real important precursor really for planning all your facility and development. So this is a proposal for $21,000 to meet 3 times and come up with a recommended space plan.
Meet 3 times with public works employees?
Correct. Myself and Public Works, determining who needs to work with who, adjacencies, space requirements for offices, lobbies, all your support stuff. I mean, all the things that are based on industry standards.
I guess the space needs analysis would tell us this, but what is the idea to have one building for water, sewer, maintenance, or just one, like a new facility for like the one we have on Washington?
Cotton's still here?
Yes.
Well, I'm thinking it means all of that.
Okay.
And it could maybe not mean all of it, but right now, coming into this, we're talking about public, we're talking about administration, we're talking about training area, not shop necessarily, that's different. But that all comes into the space needs analysis. And structures for shops are different than structures for the public and all your admin. So what'll probably come out of this is not only what we need for a new structure, but also what we need for the site. And I wanted to do it on Friday, didn't work out, to see all of their other workspaces that they have for public works. I want to see all their storage spaces, everything. And I didn't get a chance to do that, but the short answer, Your Honor, is we're gonna be looking at all of that with the architect, you bet.
Yeah, Jim.
Okay, I wanna kinda understand what you just, I read through here, and it says right here, site design and options is one of the things that their scope is going to produce. So they would show the site, but they would just give us an idea what sort of buildings they would recommend that we put on this site. Is that what we're talking about?
Well, I didn't mean site in the big sense for that. I think that's something we're gonna come out of the whole, exercise. But really what we're looking at from the architect is one distinct building. Likely just one story, that covers all of our administrative training, storage needs, not necessarily shops.
Yes, I don't wanna be interrupted, so trying to make it fit my mind, it's kind of City Hall for Public Works.
Correct, yes.
But I do like, as I went through this, I love the fact that we would finally get to see a equipment inventory that's part of what they're proposing there. That would be so wonderful to see, because I don't think anybody besides Kai in the room knows what we've got over there, which is fantastic. But then I started looking at on page 12 or 13, here's all the stuff we don't do, and I'm going, holy mackerel, it's hard to see what they're proposing to do for us when you read some of these things that are not, I'm not gonna go through them all, but you can see that there's a lot of stuff, some things I wouldn't expect, like the fire protection design, obviously you're not gonna do that, but this list is so inclusive that it basically sounds like they're gonna give us an equipment inventory and one building opinion of how Public Works is designed to be administrative. Is that?
It is, now what you're looking at on page 12 there, that exhaustive list, if down the line, they get hired to design a building, once we figured out a site or something, every one of those things will get checked off at that time. But for now, what you're gonna get is a floor plan to see how it functions and how it can all be done and how the public gets served, the different functions within Public Works all interact. And it provides a little bit of motivation, how it could look and function, and you then have a goal. Then it's the site, and then next, but one thing I wanna emphasize is the whole thought of this is to fund this internally over time. It's not something we're gonna need to take to the voters, let's say. No, the voters, they'll get a chance on, sewer improvements or water or something. Not this. This is something we're looking at funding internally over time.
I've seen the budget, we have money, we're working to set, to make this happen. In reality, you were mentioning earlier, we were making our votes for what that would be first, second, third, fourth. Once again, this is kind of a dream thing. Here's what we'd like for public works, but we need to know, okay, first of all, how's it gonna be administrated, what sort of that building go, and then work our way up to, okay, what sort of shops do we need, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
So
It's the first step.
yeah, so it's a multi-year project.
It really is, multi-year.
Yeah, I think one of the main things to look at too is like how big of a piece of land it needs. That'll tell us what we need to be looking for.
Well, I'm gonna go with that. They're gonna show us, a building for administrative purposes for public works. Would that really be able to tell us the size of the site we're going to need overall?
Well, we're not gonna be paying them to find that out, but I think we're gonna get a great sense of it through the exercise.
Okay.
Talking about that, cause we gotta talk about everything we do to then focus on what it is that goes in the building. So that's gonna help, help us with the big picture.
Thank you.
All right, Lucy?
So I don't have a problem with, a dream, but I don't wanna pay somebody $21,000 for a dream that could be on hold for so many years that you're gonna have to upgrade it again when you're trying to actually apply it. What I'd like to see in the dreaming process is, how many employees there are, how many different locations they're stationed at. If you're not gonna use it to store the equipment, where is your plans to leave the equipment? I would like to hear, like, the kindergarten level on, okay, what do you got? Where's it at right now? Who's it sufficing? And what are your plans if they're in 5 different places to put them in one, versus to see what inventory the city of Sheridan has for land that might be able to meet with that. But all of that doesn't cost any money, and then when it's kind of like going to an attorney and taking, are you an attorney? No. Okay, so, I heard something, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like going to an attorney, and you can either have the attorney look it up and they charge you, how much an hour? Quite a bit. Or you can look it up for them, and then they take it to you, and then they process it, and it costs a lot less money. And I'm thinking under that venue of this for the beginning of this dream versus pumping out 21, because I think, and once again, couple former administrations, I think they spent like $21,000 for a downtown plan that they never even did anything with, but they just wasted the people's money to do it because somebody was dreaming. I don't mind doing it, but I'm more conservative in, let's find out from the Public Works Department themselves, because who would know better from the Public Works, what they have, where they're stationed at, because I really don't know. I know they got a place on Washington, and I know that they go down to the end of Sheridan. That's kind of what I know. I don't even know where their fleet of equipment is, to be honest with you. Maybe it's all down there on Washington Street, I don't really know.
They've got one up the water, they've got their water plant.
And then there's a water plant, but I don't know if there's an office in there, if that's just a bit. See, I don't really know what they have, so how can, for me, shelling out 21,000, I mean, I'd like to have that stuff brought in first and kind of take a look at it, so we have more objective reality of what their needs are.
Okay, listen,
So, my question is, why doesn't Public Works have an inventory of everything they have? I mean, it seems like that would be part of the process, is to inventory stuff. I know some stuff is gone to surplus, but it seems like there should be an inventory somewhere. And also, maybe I'm not understanding something here, but it seems like we're putting the cart before the horse to design the building first and then find the site. I understand the idea, you wanna know how much room you need, if you need for a complex or whatever, but do we even have a site? I mean,
We have several sites, that's the problem. We don't have one good one. But this isn't to design a building. This is to do a space analysis. It's different. And this, this is a precursor to answering the questions that Lucy brought up. We know what our needs are in a structure. How are we gonna make this function on a site? Do we need to look for a site? Are we good on a site? But we can't really determine all our needs without this kind of assistance. And I think it's important to hire a professional to come in at this time and help us down that path. It's not putting the cart before the horse. This is definitely the first step you do to determine what you centralize in one building and what you don't. The original proposal was about $60-some thousand, I think, for City Hall and Public Works. It's not what we need. We need a more basic space analysis for Public Works, and that's what this is. They're just very good architectural firm that I think is going to give us a lot of advice.
but why would they do the inventory? Why doesn't Public Works do the inventory?
I don't know why we got on this inventory thing.
Okay.
My bad.
We have inventory.
We review it every year for
Oh.
buildings,
Yeah,
materials, and equipment.
Okay,
Everything
Every
was,
spring.
okay, that came up in the discussion.
I don't
They
know
reduced
where
the
that came
inventory,
from.
So, okay,
everything above
Thank you.
$5,000 is recorded. It's a financial
Yeah, I
asset
thought
of the
that.
city and tracked.
alright, that's what I thought, okay.
So that inventory would come into, I guess.
Their space analysis thing.
Right.
Yeah, they
How much
will,
space you
yeah,
need.
they'll wanna know that. But we'll have that information.
Okay, so we're not paying them to do it, that's all I'm
No.
ascertaining.
Correct.
Alright,
Okay, any other questions about this space needs? I mean, we are, I know we've been aware that Public Works needs a new facility. I think in the budget, we've started adding money to the fund. And if we don't know where it's gonna go or how big it's gonna be, we might save money, I guess, forever. We don't know how much it would cost, but, I don't know, Jim?
Well, we've talked about, probably since even before I got on the council, that we need a new Public Works location and facility. You gotta start somewhere, and knowing what we need to have done for just management of Public Works, effective management of Public Works, is important to getting the ball rolling. This would be the first step. So I support it. I don't like spending $21,000. However, I don't think that, Yvonne, can you draw one of these stuff? I don't think so, right?
Right.
I think we need to have some professional do it, and if, in this day and age, after finding out what CPAs make, $225 an hour, I don't think we can expect any sort of, study or result without paying someone. It's not fun, sucks, but, if we're gonna get started, I don't think $21,000 is outrageous. That's my opinion.
So do we need a,
I would say, here's what I would finish, I'm just going through the list. I would support this work as an internal study of operations with the $21,000 price tag. To be paid for from budgeted monies in the capital for water and sewer funds.
That sounds like a motion.
But it's a support, it's support.
okay, is that, okay, is that a consensus from everybody else? Since it's not really a motion, okay, okay, Lucy?
I'd like to know what's gonna happen with that sheet of paper we just got done signing off worth millions of dollars before I make a decision on this.
we tallied it up and I gave the results to Cale.
And I can read them real quick if you need.
Is it like 1 through 10, or is it the top 3, or what was it?
The two
It
sections.
just gave us the results, so like
Okay.
each one has a place. So like, you know, the studies, there was 4, so there's a first, second, third, fourth place.
Let me get back to my other page.
The cumulative results, the downtown development standards was second, sewer master plan was third, storm drain was fourth, feasibility study for Stony was first.
Oh, really?
And then for infrastructure, sewer main replacement was first, tied with water main replacement, so that was also first. Storm drain upgrades was second, pedestrian bridge was fifth, restrooms was fourth, and wastewater treatment upgrade was third. That was our results from that. Thank you, that was.
It was like doing
Faster
golf.
than I was talking
It was
about.
scoring for golf though. It was the lowest score was the winners.
Yeah.
So, does that help inform your decision, Lucy?
I didn't fill mine out right, so I'm the only one that googled it.
We were able to kind of figure yours though, based
I
on
make you
your
work that a
number.
little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry. If you guys are talking, I mean, it's not like you need me, but.
So,
Jim, go ahead.
You know, reading what we just came up with, this is our suggestions for staff direction, that I'm reading as far as why this was brought to us in the first place. So what the staff is gonna do with our numbers here is take them into consideration when they're trying to decide what we do, what the city does first, second.
Well, not so much, whether to pursue one or the other based on this. It's giving us more meat behind the request. For instance, if it looks like, the possibility that we can get restrooms funded, then I can, mention, you know, how this has been, on a short list of high priority projects for the city. And communicate that. It could, you know, for the top ones anyway, no surprise there. Those are the things we can push when we're not asked about particular funding stream, whether it be parks, water, sewer, streets. The main thing is that they're on the list. Just because one's maybe higher or lower than another doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't catch the eye of a funding agency. And the first opportunity for us to put this into play will be when we get the chance to talk to the regional solutions team in a couple of months. That would be our first chance to get funding.
So I think what I just heard is, these are the recommendations we put out, that what order you would go out and try and find money to get done, is that?
Yeah, that's part of it.
As opposed, you know, going kind of with what Lucy said she wanted to hear, what we came up with on this, as opposed to the recommendation for, the space needs analysis, that's $21,000 that we would recommend spending right now to get these guys going. But all of these are, let's find some funding for these.
That's right, and knowing the sense of priority on behalf of council is helpful. But the fact that these are on the list is they're all potentially funded, can potentially be funded.
Yeah, the way I would think of it is, you know, when I go to the state legislature and talk to our rep, I'm probably gonna talk about, you know, water line replacement, sewer replacement. I'm gonna talk about, you know, funding a plan public works building, it might be helpful, but they, you know, these are bigger projects that, you know, are, well, obviously.
We're trying to find money for it.
Yeah.
We just don't have.
Yeah, that, you know, like major, you know, big projects that, you know, not necessarily all the funding has to come from outside sources. We can provide some of the funding and things like that, but, these are, you know, all the big things, you know, we've got, you know, going on. Some of these I kind of forgot about the pedestrian bridge, but, you know, the Sheridan Road stuff, obviously, is, and, you know, that's what I tried to ask for last time was funding for Sheridan Road, but I mean, if we're able to talk to the regional solutions team and say, you know, hey, we have these different things, or even talking with Representative, you know, Elmer, and asking them like, hey, this is council's list, what can you help us, you know, in which direction to go, things like that. I think having a list like this is helpful, especially to me, because I can take this and then I can start talking to, you know, our state senator, our regional, you know, Star, Elmer, you know, all the everybody that, you know, are reps above us. So no, it's good.
So first of all, I kind of had a misunderstanding about the voting, so there you go. But if you were going to go talk to the state, it almost seems like if you could slip it in, you know, Stony Mountain would be obviously the first, but that does kind of include obviously Sheridan Road with our sewer storm and our storm water and sewer system, because once we got that running, obviously you want to have that fixed all the way through in the infrastructure, and then hopefully, like Jim said, you know, I agree, pave Sheridan Road. I can't stand it when I see a new subdivision and they tear it up to put in a gas line after they got this nice road. It drives me nuts. So when you go to the state and you ask about Stormy Mountain, I mean, it's kind of like you got on this overcoat that says, you know, we need Stormy Mountain, but P.S. over here, that will affect our water and our sewer and our storm drains, and just try to go for the big wish bucket, or you're just gonna start with one, because it has kind of a trickle down effect, which would be really nice if they were to say, you're such a deprived area, and without our commercial, economic, any resources, maybe they might show favor on the fact that, you know, we're the poor guys in the valley.
Yeah, I think it'll depend. I'm still, and I can talk to Preston because I know he's been dealing with state reps for a while. I'm still fairly new, but I think it all depends on what bills they've got, and, you know, if there's certain bills that can, you know, get funding in certain areas that would help us for, you know, several of these projects, then I think, you know, having our support would kind of take that to the next step and say, you know, this bill would help this, and this in Sheridan and probably several other cities across the state.
I'm gonna continue on if I
Go
can
ahead.
ask him.
Yeah,
So like I noticed in Willamina, when I read in their city council meeting, they really promote that Willamina is a distressed area, and in a lot of ways, Willamina is better off than we are because they're not in a floodplain. And then also we have the prison, so we gotta add on roughly 2,000 people, which is not really an accurate vision of what Sheridan is, because, I mean, I'm glad that Willamina is getting all these things done, I'm really happy, but they're feeding off something right now being, I think they use the terminology distress something, add anything you want to it, because, but it gets them enough attention to be able to get the funds and the grants, where we have to claim this 2,000 people that's outside the city limits, and we're also in
inside city limits.
Sorry, well, they're outside the town, but they're inside, outside. They're not coming downtown, put it that way. And then we have this floodplain issue that is trying to destroy us. And I just hope that when you go there, they realize that FEMA is killing our town, what it's doing.
I mean, I think it's known that we're a distressed area too, and I think that's why we get some of the grants we do get. But definitely it depends on, I guess, what data you're looking at, but I mean, in some aspects, Sheridan, some of the data is actually worse, you know, than Willamina. And I know our tax rate's definitely half, I think. But yeah, that's what's nice with working with, you know, especially the state reps, like Representative Elmer knows Sheridan, you know. It might be harder to paint the picture to, you know, somebody who's, you know, one of our US senators maybe. But you know, it's a little different picture, or a little, yeah, a little bit different. But you know, for sure, telling them, you know, reminding them that, you know, we are in the floodplain, remember, but yeah, all that. I definitely know we all are, you know, we're in just as much of a depressed area, I guess, or as Will might know, kind of this area, I think, in general. But this list though will be helpful because it's the legislative session is almost open again, and it's a short one, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. So, Jim.
Yeah, because the state knows we're distressed. They're the ones that made a declaration several years ago. Frank pointed out that we are considered a distressed city. Our poverty rate, 30% of the people in the city live below the poverty rate. Our median income is $20,000 below the state average. Yeah, that's nothing to brag about, but it sure gives us a heads up and say, hey, we need some help here, guys. So that's the kind of thing I'm sure that you already knew that you're gonna be, well, look, we need some help getting this done. So maybe we're not as distressed. Maybe we have a few more jobs and give people a chance to just live a good life.
It all depends on who you're talking to. If it's somebody who's going to give us funding, I'm going to bring out all those stats that are kind of negative. If it's somebody who wants to come in here and start a business, I'm probably not going to mention that kind of stuff. So, it all depends on who you're talking to. But yeah,
Nothing you want to brag about.
Yeah, but it needs to be known.
To let them know.
It needs to be known.
Make money.
Yes. Okay.
So I think we're probably all aware of that the sewer master plan and the storm drain master plan will need to be updated before we apply for grants.
There's
That's just.
The storm, yes.
So back to $21,000 for a space analysis.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Now that we have the results of that second agenda item, I mean, it sounds like there's no action that we need to take on this list unless we want to change a ranking or something like that. But I mean, I don't know a better way to kind of get our, you know, priorities on the vote. But
it's a great first step at the council being involved, and this all comes from our budget and determining some priorities, and this is how we can get some things funded. So it's not a formal list like you would have a CIP and a budget. Some of these are on our CIP, but a lot of the success that Sheridan has had is getting those call outs in bills, the attached, the projects. Every year there's sewer bills and water bills that do improvements around the state. This is how legislators bring the bacon home with these projects. The fact that we're an impoverished area, it opens doors. I think that's a good, another reason why we are being looked at as a regional solutions team stop for us. This is, while Cale has been very successful on getting these call outs, I can't think of the name of legislation, but you know, for projects right now, but Sheridan's had great success in that. I mentioned in the budget committee, how many projects rely on grants and these specific direct aid from the legislature. Sheridan's done very well with that. Other than Cale, the COG also helps. Laura's helped get grants. So we want to stress these projects and point out what we know about them. These sewer ones help us meet compliance requirements where we're in violation every winter. So those can get maybe another nod when because it helps us meet compliance. So I think those will be looked at favorably. And any of these that talk about compliance, would be noted on when you go to sell projects also.
Okay.
Alleged non-compliance.
Alleged, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we're back then to number 3 for space needs analysis. Is I think we have the consensus of some people. Is that still okay to go forward? Okay. Okay, so I know we don't have a counselor comments, but Jim had brought it up, and I have a feeling if we put it to a vote, it would get added to our agenda with enough counselors per our rules. So I'm just gonna, I know Jim wants to ask some questions, and it sounds like Lucy did too. If there's some points you want to bring up, I would like to have it be, maybe we just have it every regular meeting, and in between the questions come to me. But we can work on a way to do that later in the future. Jim, you can go ahead and go first if you want.
Okay, thank you. This sounds like a criticism of the staff, and I don't think it is, but we have a tendency to talk about things and decide this is what we'd like to do. And then we never hear about it. And the example I'm gonna use tonight is, we talked after the boil water order, we need to get a system to identify, let the public know what's going on out there. And I know you were looking at stuff, and now we just still don't know. Is that ongoing, or?
Happy to give you an update on that, you bet.
Okay, and then, Southside Park, we now know 5th of November, that's good. And then I've seen the equipment out, behind, the Hebert Plaza and Morgan Street. And the equipment, I drove by, I think 2 or 3 times, never seemed to even move. And I hope they're doing something, because they kind of block the view of what they might be doing behind them, and they didn't get out of the car, it was a little ugly out there. But, are things moving along out there? You got the answer, Danny? I know you.
Bill took some photos, video. They have gone underneath the bridge and they're working on the other park, the Chester Moore, thank you. So they're hauling gravel, making a road, making things level. I'm sure that's to give them workspace and whatever. But yeah, there was movement there at least today.
Yeah, they worked on it last week as well. They've got the fill coming in on the Morgan Street side.
Excellent.
That's the kind of.
And then one big question that's really near and dear to my heart, because I watch the money going out. What's the status on finishing up the books so we can get our audit taken care of and we know how much money we really have?
Mhm.
What's the status on that?
The fiscal year 2024 audit should be done any day. That's really the last piece we need to then do our supplemental budget. So that's, both Sarah and our auditor, have told me that there shouldn't be any big surprises.
So we're probably, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're probably good with what the money we think we have is. But what I see, because I've been signing the checks, I see a lot of money going out at $225 an hour to our CPA. I'm not saying it's not worth it, but criminy sakes, how long do we keep paying it before we say, well, okay, now our books are balanced, but well, we're a lot shorter on money than we were because we paid you $25 an hour.
Is there the audit, after the audit, is there just some of 25 that needs to get worked through, is that right?
Oh, 25.
Well, all of 2025, yes.
Okay.
How much, I'm not sure, but, that 2024 is basically done at this point. We haven't probably paid the bill for the last of 2024. What the check you signed, I think was through April reconciliation. So there are a couple months left in 2024.
I see several in bond today that I see several go by.
Right. So we probably still are gonna pay on finishing fiscal year 2024 a couple of months. But then 2025 comes around. And we're not sure how much, repair there is there. But tons of journal entries had to be redone. We get the audit for 2024. Like I say, I'm expecting that any day. Then we're up to speed. We're actually up to date. It doesn't mean we're not done paying bills, because again, we gotta now
Never
go to
done
the
paying
next,
bills.
the current, the next fiscal year. Our audit costs are about what? Is it 16 or 18,000 a year?
Normally, they did add on for that 24 pretty substantially to the office firm.
So even the auditors gonna jump on, with that.
But
We're
you
not out
did
of the
figure that
woods yet.
into when you budgeted
Right.
for the 25-26 budget, you did figure that in for the professional services, the extra that the auditor was charging.
Yeah, I just didn't remember how much it was, but that is going up too, yeah. So just because we're gonna be up to speed on our audits here soon, we still have to pay extra while to repair going forward.
Sure.
There is an end to it. There absolutely is an end to it. We have a finance director starting tomorrow, Amber Mathieson, outstanding credentials. Much more experience working on audits than I have.
Excellent.
And she knows our auditor, she knows Sarah, all of our consultants. She'll be able to estimate and know what it's gonna take. I don't think 25 is in as bad a shape. 24 was. Even Yvonne wants to mention something.
Well, I was just gonna add to what Preston was saying and help Jim. Daily, Omega and I do go through, we reconcile what we know we can reconcile in the immediate moment. We move over what we know has cleared our bank. We're making sure that deposits that are accounted for, and we monitor our US bank account to make sure that we aren't over, or we're not getting close to going below the threshold that we're supposed to legally maintain. We go to Preston and say, hey, we know we're getting ready to send out payroll. Do we need to move some money to keep us secure? We're doing the best we can with the information that we have, and as soon as everything is put forward so we know what those beginning numbers were, then everything can fall into place to actually reconciling to the exact moment in time. But we are not just like, oh, we're just writing checks and just, we are trying to. But I just want to put your mind a little bit at ease that we are monitoring.
Oh, yeah, Omega is amazing when I
Yeah.
come in to sign those checks. It's down to the 0.01,
Yes,
cents.
yeah.
And it's all, noted, and and of course the invoices, I can take a look through those, blah, blah, blah. But what I see, when I'm not, this isn't quite as much as just what I see going out. All the city expenses, I understand.
Yes.
It's that one expense for the CPA, it is very large.
Yeah.
Every time I sign the check, it's like, okay, I understand it's a complicated process, I understand she's doing good work for us, but it seems like, from what I've been doing lately, it doesn't seem to end. Now, Preston's indicate to me that the end is in sight, the end of the tunnel is almost there, we're just not there yet.
I think we're 3/4 of the way through, is what I would guess.
That's about right.
Yeah.
And could I
Sorry.
I mentioned that even in I think it was budget committee, that this was going to take about 6 months, and we're right on about target, for that. Toby, our auditor, has asked, would the council like him to come and present the fiscal year 24 audit? And I says, well, why don't you do that when you present the fiscal year 25 audit? Okay, I said, just hold it until you get the next one done. So he'll be planning on coming probably February and present the fiscal year 25. And then you can go back, as much as you like at that point, but, that's all I wanted to mention.
Okay, yeah, and to follow up with that, I'm gonna trust the auditor. If something bad happens, we're gonna hear about it long before the auditor gets here. So truthfully, he can come present it, it'll be, oh, that's interesting stuff. It's gonna go right over my head.
Well,
But as long as he says, our books now balanced, we're looking good, you have the money you think you have, that's what I'm waiting to see. Right now, we don't have that.
yes,
Right.
that's exactly right, Jim. And when you and I talked about the budget, putting together the current budget, we took the most conservative numbers.
Oh, as all, yeah.
And all of the bulky numbers that we're unsure about, I took that all off the top. So, budgeting our beginning fund balances, should be, we shouldn't have any surprises there.
Okay, sorry, Denny, go ahead.
So I think about a year ago, I don't think the council was aware we were having a problem with the audit. And then it is just one more thing that's coming out of the woodwork. So I hope there's checks and balances in place where this is another one. This should never happen again. Because again, I was told with a warm and fuzzy over a year ago that, oh, everything's fine. And it's not. So I just hope we have a way to control this again.
Yes, absolutely, Danny. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Lucy?
So now go back and I was wondering if we could maybe bring the ODOT speaker back, maybe at our next meeting, to talk about Sheridan Road, that you weren't familiar with that conversation. I can call him to make sure that it would be substantial for the council to hear, and then it'd be nice if we could put him on that agenda, maybe give him some time so he can answer questions. I have no clue yet, I'm just putting it out there.
Yeah, if you, I think maybe see if they're interested, and then if I can talk to them, and then go from there. I don't have any problem, adding to the agenda. I'm not sure exactly what we would ask, because it sounds like ODOT wouldn't want to take over the. Well, I don't know. I would ask them, hey, if we bring this up to your standards, are you going to take it over?
Well, I don't know what it would include, but I knew that there was some money there that he felt too. And he did come and talk, but he's not gonna be 3 minutes, so that's why I said, or if you wanted to give him extra time to speak. If when I re-verify all the facts, because I gotta re-verify it, and I haven't talked to him in months, that what I'm under the impression of is still good to go, then, and I know they're not gonna pay for the infrastructure part, we're just talking about the road. But if that's there, that's part of the puzzle, whether it's a percentage or it seems like there's a certain amount that the city could be obligated. I just have to find those facts out. I'm just asking, instead of just bringing them in, I'm not trying to surprise anybody. It's like, hey, would you like to have him come in, and then that way everybody could ask him questions to satisfy your curiosities. If he says it would even be worth it for him to come in.
Okay.
If he goes, oh yeah, sure, I do that.
Yeah.
Then I would like anybody to be able to ask whatever questions they can format, as long as we know it's gonna be beneficial to Sheridan Road. And I think that is an important part of a lot of the stuff with Sheridan. And then the other one is the fella, his name's Polasek, that does the charging stations. And because he told me tonight, because he's been gone and, whatever, that this grant money comes available November 6th, and I said, well, geez, I'd hate to, at first I thought he said it was the cutoff was November 6th, but it starts. And I was wondering if the council might wanna have him come in, because what he could do is reserve, let's say, let's say you wanted to put 3 or 4 over there and maybe 5 at the Morgan Street. Or let's say that down the road, even the Public Works might want to have something that utilizes that kind of a battery. What he basically told me is you can reserve them without costing any money, and then if you don't want them, you can give them back because somebody else will take them, kind of like missing a doctor's appointment. Somebody else is going to take your appointment if you don't do it. And then he could explain the costs and the benefits that it would be for us to reserve these. And I was thinking, since if we should decide to keep the parking lot across the street, you know, usually they gotta tear stuff up, but that's already gravel. So in a lot of that expense that they do, cause they do everything, or they can do half of it, or they can do 75% of it. But just to get the lines of communication open for these, and I did ask him, and he goes, no, he goes, if, you guys said you wanted to reserve more than you needed, you could do that, and then he would reserve it out of these funds that are gonna be coming available, but you're gonna have to, you know, Cooper get off the pot. And I would hate to wait 2 more weeks, because the last time it was in Kaiser, and that's a lot bigger area, but they went through 1.7 million in 30 minutes. So I was wondering if maybe, you know, if you came in and even talked, maybe it'd only take a half an hour. Maybe you would take an hour, it depends, I guess, what questions you wanted to ask. If you wanted to come in like even this week to just do, cause I talked to him on the telephone before I came over here, and he said that he would, because by the 20th of November, he's leaving again, and then he'd be gone out of that area.
So if the cutoff's November 5th.
No, I thought it was cut off, it starts November.
It starts, okay.
But he goes, the money can go very, very quickly.
So I think similar thing, I think I'd like to talk to him first and see what information, and then go from there, cause I've talked to, you know, electric charger people before.
Mm-hmm.
And there's usually something that makes it unappealing. Like the last one I talked to, I think it was, you had to have 8, but you can't break them up. They had to be in the same spot, which was like, seemed like overkill. And I think it was also, we had to maintain them, which was kind of like a big.
So you might have just had a different company.
Yeah.
Because he said the tribes are doing it through a different company, and they want to be in charge, you know, largely in charge, and that's why theirs aren't working. But he specifically said, you could have them down at the riverside, you could have them across the street, and you could have them at Public Works. You know, you just have to, but I'll give you that information, and then you can call them. But the thing that I felt, and I guess I wanted everybody here to know, is if you were to say, hey, would you mind meeting in a couple days, like maybe on a Wednesday, or whatever, Thursday or whatever. I guess I can't do it Wednesday because it's a dinner, but anyway, like a Thursday, and just, or maybe just, because you're gonna have to reserve them, and I would guess you'd have to reserve them, maybe you don't have to have the council's okay to reserve them, you know, kind of a reserve X amount on a list, because he said overestimate, he said don't underestimate, because if you can give back, it ain't gonna cost you nothing. So he sounds like a really good, negotiable, feasible source, but I don't think we should wait for 2 weeks, because we may not be as fortunate as I was tonight, because he said it's just happening on the 5th.
Yeah.
And those are the same things that get out on that tourism, where everybody who, and they do look for them because they know that they can't be real reliable at Spirit Mountain. So that means we'd be McMinnville, and then Otis, and then Sheridan would now be on that list, which, hey, it's a start for something.
Yeah.
And you have 290 days to install them after you commit. And he said because of Sheridan's situation, or depressed situation, he said sometimes he can even ask for an extension in extenuating circumstances. So all those doors open, all those things for free talking and doing all these things, at least holding in place. But I just wasn't sure if the council had to vote to reserve, if you could just tell us at the next council meeting, well, you know, we reserved, you know.
Probably wouldn't need, because we're not, you know, agreeing to any contract or paying money for anything. I think.
No, all you have to do is reserve them, but you'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah,
You don't have to give them any money.
Yeah, I'll talk to them and see, because I've talked to a few, and there's usually something that's not appealing. It seemed like they all have different, you know, quirks to them, and you know, if there's going to be one that fits, because I'm not against, you know, electric chargers, but
I think it'd be a great
sense.
thing for us to have. It puts on the map again.
Yeah, you can put, if you want to give me any of that info or whatever. Okay, Liz.
Is that Paul Haslam,
Yeah.
that's the contractor here in Sheridan?
Well, he's actually lives up, I think, right between Sheridan and Willamina.
Okay.
Lives in either one of those 2 addresses.
He's worked on my house before, I know.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I think we can adjourn. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There we go. Preston, is there discussion on that?
Out of here.
Something you want to
I'll
add?
just talk to Jim about the one at the Everbridge.
Oh, yeah, okay.
With update on.
Okay, all right, well, then we can be, all in favor, I guess, real quick to the vote. I don't vote. Okay, I think that's unanimous for adjournment at 7:44.
Do we need this to go to that thing, or do they have?
I don't think so.
No, I just gave it so you have the address and
Okay.
directions.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't, is that for the dinner?
Yeah,
Do you have an extra one? Or
I
no?
didn't get an RSVP from you.
Oh,
Sorry.
I think I said that to
It would have been,
Christy on the phone maybe, or?
she,
Or maybe I
she
didn't-
said she didn't get any RSVPs. I probably
Thank
got
Thank you
some
again,
social
Joe, for filming
and
these,
Cale.
because I watched it before coming
I
here.
can-
It's okay,
It
it's
helps out.
okay.
Yes, I appreciate
but
it.
that's okay.
Okay, I can try to,
I don't know if you care to hear
Yes.
feedback about the video at all.
okay, cause I can call and see if
Very,
they,
very minor
because
stuff.
they're doing, it's,
I used to
kind
be
of
an
like
audio engineer for like a really small
and it sounds like they're, like,
There's
gonna
two
make
main things
pieces
that I
so
would
they
bring
run
up.
out, or
If you
until,
put a little
until
bit of
people are
a
done.